What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Show Bullet 8. I got another video for you guys today. I'm going to be watching and going over with you all. It was something that popped up in my recommended, and when I saw the title, I had to go ahead and check it out. I mean, it it just seemed like it was something that would be really interesting. So I went through and I watched about the first minute, maybe minute and a half of it, and I knew right. I stopped. I'm like, I have to do a video on this, and I want to be wholly surprised by the rest of this story. And it's a funny situation that when it comes to the manosphere, we talk about a lot of times how men are affected in their marriages, but we tend to forget that a lot of these things that reside within the complications of a marriage also reside within relationships, because a greater deal of time when a man actually says, hey, you know what, I want to be with this woman, and they bring their worlds together like that, you can damn near be sure that on some level he is looking towards actually giving her the one thing that a greater deal of most women actually want, and that is that marriage. Because he actually is not he just doesn't just love her, but he's in love with that woman. And so yeah, this video actually goes over a woman who speaks on how she ruined her marriage. Well, I mean, what is it? The title is "A Woman Realizes Divorcing Her Husband Was a Huge Mistake." And like I said, after watching the first, like minute of it, it had me like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I know this story right here. So yeah, um, hopefully I don't stop too much because I have a lot to say on this, but I'm gonna try and get through this as quick as possible. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
Get out and fast. In my case, there was no abuse. We were together for 8 years. That was mostly good, and we have 4 kids. Right around 5 years, I got a promotion at work, and I got it in my head that my ex-husband was dragging me down, or at least holding me back from more success and a better
Oh
life.
shit.
We
Okay.
never had a lot of money, but
Okay.
with my promotion, I was now making more than he was. I started working longer hours, and
Look, wait. I
at the
want to hear what she
same
said.
time, his hours were cut, so he was at home more. I really began to resent him.
Yep. And that right there, it's so crazy because everybody wants to talk about equality, but sure enough, as soon as she started making more money, it was a situation where she started to resent him. But I can almost guarantee you that she was also resenting him more so because of the fact that he was home more than she was. Now he's working and taking care of the family. He's at home more, things like that. He's taking care of the family, and so she doesn't get a lot of the time to spend with the kids. And I can guarantee you that burned her more than anything else. But she made the choice to try and climb, the corporate ladder. And I can say this from my own personal experience that, number one, I I can almost bet more than anything she didn't want to work. And this is one of those problems where you deal with an individual who, I'm Miss Independent, I can do things on my own, so on and so forth. And they get into a relationship with a good man who does what he's supposed to. In this case, it sounds like the guy was might have been having a little bit of issues with work or whatever, but he was still working and at the very least taking care of the family too while she was out. Now, in the situation I was being, being in a relationship and things like that, I started my business again and worked numerous hours, but I had to work from home. Even though a great deal of times I had to go out in the field and deal with clients and meet new clients and so on and so forth. I'm talking working 12 to 14 hours a day sometimes, and a great deal of time. It was a matter of I tried to cut those hours so I could spend time with, you know, uh, the woman I was with at that point in time and her daughter. And I ended up spending a lot of time with her daughter and things like that, whereas she still had to go to work and I was working from home. So I know that that was a very resentful sort of thing on her end as well. And I can almost bet that this woman did not want to even work at all. I can bet that her resentment actually came in the form of what she wanted was to simply be a housewife and for him to work and do everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, if you are dating someone who makes the joke all the time, "Ah, I just wish I didn't even have to work and I could just stay at home all the time." And, if she makes that joke often, I can guarantee you she means that shit. Like that, whatever. Let's keep it going because, I have more to say about it, but I want to see where she's going with this.
Because he was home and because he got to spend time with our kids.
There it is.
Most
Yep.
nights when I got home, they were already getting ready for bed, if not already sleeping. After a few months of my new job, it was clear to me that things were not going well at home without me there. Some nights the dishes weren't done when I got home, or the kids hadn't eaten, or whatever else I could think of to be mad at him about. It really didn't matter. He kept saying that he would try harder, but that it was hard being home all the time. That always made me really mad.
So wait a minute.
For the next couple years, things
So wait a minute.
kept getting...
Was it a thing that's what was really happening? Because what it sounded like is that she's saying that she was making. Hold on. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back just for a second. I'm trying not to do this again, but it almost seemed like she was making herself mad more often than not concerning these things that were happening.
or the kids hadn't eaten, or whatever else I could think of to be mad at him about.
So whatever else I could think of to be mad at. Okay, so if the dishes aren't done or something like that, and you run around the house with 4 kids, and there's no telling what the age groups are here at this point in time, but he's doing everything else, but the dishes aren't done. So you're upset about that. But on top of that, you had to find and nitpick things in order to get mad even more so at him. Okay, see where this is going.
It really didn't matter. He kept saying that he would try harder, but that it was hard being home all the time. That always
he wanted to work.
Really
he wanted
mad.
to be gone and work.
For the next couple years, things kept getting worse. My hours weren't any shorter, and his were on and off full time. There was no convenient time for him to be working full time because of my hours, but we also needed the money. Whenever he would tell me that he could get extra hours, I would always complain. And the less hours he worked, the more I complained that he wasn't bringing in enough money. Whenever he brought up the contradiction, I would tell him that he needed to figure it out. I knew that it would bother him, so I started saying that a lot and for everything that I could. I really started to resent him, and
So hold up. So he gets more hours, he's getting more hours, but because she's taking it as, her job means more, I guess. So he can't work those hours. But if he doesn't work those hours, then she's still gonna get mad at him and they need the money. Like that's the ultimate catch 22 right there. He cannot win for losing in that situation by any means. And then I really started to resent him and I pulled away from him. She starts to resent him because of the ground rules essentially that she's putting forth and then starts pulling away from him.
I pulled away from him. I
Yeah.
knew that it was hurting him, but I didn't care.
Of course you didn't give
If
a
he
damn.
didn't want to be hurt, then he would at least try to make me happy. I used that same thing to justify when I started to talk to another guy at work.
No.
I thought he was just a friend.
Hold up. Hold the fuck up. I'm sorry, y'all. Like this is crazy. This is the ultimate movie right here. Like this is nuts. So she justifies her going to talking to another dude at work. Here's what I can bet. I can bet that she talked to her girlfriends. More than likely, there's a few of them who are fucking single, who don't have a thing going on in their life. And of course, the girlfriends are gonna be yes men to her. Gone Queen, yeah, of course, he's not shit. And she's not telling them about the straight up mental fucking tyranny she's pulling in her household. I can bet she went and talked to her mama about it. If her mama still alive or whatnot, I can bet she did. And her mama, of course, was like, "Oh yeah, sweetie, whatever," because that's her child. See, the thing about it is, she probably got wrapped up in her own little bubble, never fully telling the truth of what the situation was, always giving what she thought was the issue because mentally she's unhappy with herself on some level. And the crazy thing about it is, a lot of women can justify this because of the past things that happened to them in relationships. Somebody probably was putting their hands on them at one point in time, or they might have walked away from, the woman and her children. In this case, more like those are all their kids, is what it sounds like. But in just regular everyday relationships, that's how it ends up happening. And so now, you, as the man who's doing whatever it is that you're doing and trying to build this family, build this lifestyle, build something more so for the two of you, are taking the emotional abuse that that individual wishes they could have dished out on someone else, or taking that emotional abuse, maybe not so much that they wish they could have dished it out on someone else, but because it's what they know, and now it's getting handed to you no matter what you do. Man, oh man.
Talking at work turned into texting at home, and then pictures and videos,
Oh
and then trying to
hell
sneak some
no.
alone time with him. I knew that it was wrong, but it made me feel so alive, and my husband had not made me feel like that in years.
You
I was tired
That's
of
on you.
being
You pulled
unhappy,
away from him.
and I
She
was
said
doing
she
this
pulled
for
away
me.
from him.
The worst was the night
Doing
I
it for
came
her.
home at a reasonable time and found that he had cleaned the whole house, cooked the whole family dinner, and picked out a movie for all of us to watch
What the
together.
fuck?
This would have made me swoon a couple years earlier. But that night, I couldn't
Wow.
even look at him, and I pretended to be sick. I spent the rest of the night in bed while he waited on me and checked on me and even made me different food and brought it to me in bed. It made
Yo.
me feel terrible. And then it made me angry that he made me feel that way. And by the end of the night,
No,
I was
hell no. Hell no, hell no, hell no. Wait a minute. That he made her feel that way? That is a mental problem, if ever there was one. She played sick, and he went and checked on her, worried about her. Worried about her. Gave her what she wanted or what she needed, which she didn't actually need at that point in time, trying to take care of her, and she blames him for it. And then by the end of the night, texting the other guy. This is world class. I mean, straight up world class mind fuckery. Like it, what's so crazy about it is, a person of this caliber, this type of like mental tyrant, will lose it on you, like get into arguments with you, different things like that. And at the point where you've had enough, it could be 20 minutes, an hour later, you've walked away, you've left the house, you've done all you could, asked them to stop, spoken in a calm manner, kept a calm demeanor the whole entire time. But the moment you snap off and come back at them, it's your fault. It's your fault. And you gaslit them. That's that's what this is. This is nuts for wow.
texting with the other guy. Over the next month or two from that night, it did not matter what he did. He was wrong just for breathing most days.
Of course.
He would get so upset with how I was treating him, and I would just wait and egg him on into losing it because I knew it would happen eventually.
Hold on.
After most of the fight,
What I just say, that, oh my God. And see, and that's the thing with guys, we can get into those types of arguments with the woman that we're with. Like, it can blow up and then give us give us 10, 20 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe two. And we're like, hey, and no, it doesn't even take us that long. It's like, hey, I'm sorry. Because we don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to like make them, cry and all those other things. Because whereas women are very they call it nurturing, they tend to take on nurturing jobs. They take on nurturing positions in the world. We, however, when it comes to that woman that we're with, we're very, very sensitive to her emotions because we don't ever, like most men, don't ever want to just like, have some kind of iron grip and be a tyrant and make her cry and feel some kind of way. Even when we know, we weren't the ones to egg on the situation. And this is what she did.
fights we had, he would apologize for whatever I told him he did wrong.
Of course
if
he
there
would.
even was something. But I never did. I would usually find a way to make him feel even worse. I knew that I was right because he was wrong, and that was all that mattered to me. I even pretended that I didn't care when he found out about my relationship with the guy from work. It really destroyed me inside to see him holding back tears. But I wasn't going to let him see that.
Because she
he was
wanted
at his
to.
weakest. And that was when
Fuck! Whoa, what?
I chose to tell him that I wanted a divorce. I could almost.
Yo, that is cold as ice. But that's how it is, though. She put on the whole facade of, well, I don't care, because she had to play the whole I'm strong role, knowing that she was fucking up. She knew she was wrong in this situation, but decided to put on the face of I'm right, the determined face to prove a point that had no backbone to it. It's crazy. And to know this and then do it at a point in time, to tell him at a point in time where he's already like crushed, that right there, that is obscene, but it is exactly how it works though. Because in all honesty, women can be very cruel creatures when they want something, when they think they're in the right to have or do whatever it is that they want. It is absolutely amazing. And speaking in a generalized sense, and speaking from an experience side as well, in knowing so many people in their marriages or their relationships, and knowing what I dealt with one individual. Let's get back to this. I got to get through this. I don't want to keep us forever, but this is crazy.
Hear his heart shattering inside his chest. He talked and fought and said that we could work through it together. I really wasn't interested in fixing our marriage.
Of course
but
not.
I mostly ended things with the other guy, but only because I knew I could get it back if I wanted it. I could see that he was trying, and occasionally I would let him know. But for the most part, I kept being a huge to him for any and all reasons that I could think of. I'm not sure how much more the man could have done to make me happy, besides finding a job that paid enough for me to not have to work at all. He said that he was looking.
Yo, what the? Wow. What did I just say? What did I say at the beginning of this? That's exactly what she wanted. It, listen, it is no matter what, no matter what a greater deal of women tell you, it is in their mindset, it is of their expectation that you, as the man, do and take care of everything. The shitty part about it is this: they will play a game a great deal of times and say how they are this, that, or they want to do the, this 50-50 thing, all this, like, it all sounds good because they think that that's what we want to hear, when in all actuality, when it comes to dealing with us men, for you women that are watching this, we want the truth. We don't want to have to guess. We don't read minds. You don't understand how many times I had to tell an individual that exact thing. I can, out of all the things I know in this world, out of all the things I can do in this world, I cannot read your mind. And then I can't just overstep what you say because words are bonds to men. In this case, she went off seeking the higher paying job, everything else, took away his ability to work by making it clear that, well, if you take on more hours, then who's there for the kids because I can't be there? Blames it all on him, but yet in her, all she wants to do is not work.
But looking and finding are two different things. I started saying awful things to him
Right?
and even outright ignoring him. I was so confident with mine and
The
everyone
silent
else's
treatment.
opinion that I contacted a lawyer, and within a couple
There it
weeks,
is. Hers and everyone else's opinion. Hers and everyone else's opinion. She's taking the opinion of a bunch of yes men, the girls who she talked to about this, her mama more than likely, who said, "Oh, it is what it is." And if I didn't say, as I said earlier, if it comes down to it and she's had any kind of past traumas from any other relationships, guess what? They are going to they're going to stick their feet in the ground even more so by saying, oh yeah, you have to move on, you have to get away from it because of what she said happened in her past relationships, whether true or not. And more than likely it was true, but now you get to brutalize another individual because of your past hurt and because of what the people around you said, even though they don't know your relationship in its entirety. It's an amazing, amazing thing that this is how you can walk away from someone that you've been in a long term relationship for, especially in a marriage. And she even made it clear what she thought was right, not what was fact, but because she thought it was so right, you contacted a lawyer.
had filed for divorce. It went pretty smoothly. The ex husband didn't ask for much besides to not get divorced and to try to work it all out. I didn't care about that though. He was broken, but I was free. I
Or
could do
so you
whatever
thought.
I wanted without having to feel any guilt or answer to anybody.
And there it is.
It was an amazing feeling of freedom. It
There it
didn't
is.
last long though.
And
In
it
the first
didn't last. That's a thing right there. She absolved herself of any form. Oh my gosh. She absolved herself from any form of consequence, from taking any form of responsibility. She absolved herself from all of it, or so she thought.
first month after he moved out, I missed garbage day 3 times. There was also rarely a single clean dish, and the laundry sat in piles so long that I had to start doing the sniff test to see if it could be worn again. I also never saw my
Ooh,
kids more miserable.
of
My
course.
oldest had seen some of the messages from the other guy months earlier, and she knew that the ex-husband still wanted to try to work it out. It didn't take her long to stop talking to me at all,
Holy
except to say that
shit.
she wanted to go to my ex-husband's house. The others all told me they wanted to live with the ex-husband too.
And she probably was having fucking none of that. And you know, hey, this is really serious right here. See, in this case, we're talking about two individuals whose kids were their kids, and think of it from the perspective of a guy who walks into a relationship with a woman who has a child or children, and how immensely, immensely it hurts him to have to walk away from them when he's taking them in as his own, whether he has any children of his own or not, but he loves and cares for that child as though it's his own child. We all forget that that bond happens, and when it's taken away, especially over stupidity, and when it like gets nasty, it makes it so much worse, especially for the kid. But then that man, he's not only brokenhearted about the woman that he was willing to give his life up for, that he like, and I mean that literally. Like, I mean, we would step in front of a fucking bullet, a train. It doesn't matter. Destroy half of the earth over you all because of that love. But to have to walk away from this child who may not have been his by blood, but held that same significant meaning to him. The shitty situation is that in those instances, they have zero rights, no rights whatsoever to see that child or those children. And so when people talk about, oh, it's not right if a man doesn't take a woman who has kids on, you all don't think about the consequences for that man taking on that responsibility in the event that for any reason you decide, well, you just want to try something else with your life. Hmm.
I did my best to try to make them happy, but I ended up just buying them toys all the time.
The
And the
cover up.
happiness only lasted minutes.
Yep. The
I
cover
also
up.
was having a lot of trouble with work. Being alone, I couldn't work all those extra hours that I was expected to. I finally gave in and started calling the ex-husband to watch the kids. He would always come over as soon as he could, and he always asked me if I needed
Man's a
anything.
fucking
When I would
saint
get
for
home,
real.
I would find clean dishes and laundry and even dinner sometimes. He would never say too much after I got home.
Cause he'd do
He would just
anything
say to
for his
call him
for his
if I
wife and
needed
kids, or the woman he loved and
anything,
his kids.
and then he would leave. One night, he took out the garbage and brought it to the curb because it was garbage night, and I forgot again. He always looked so sad when it was time to go. Finally, after a couple months, my friends convinced me to go out on a date.
Wow.
It was for dinner and a movie, and I
Of
was
course they
excited
did.
and hopeful.
Girl, you gotta
But
go
at
out and
dinner,
get some.
I started getting a feeling of overwhelming guilt. It got so bad that I ended up not even going to the movie. A week and about 1,000,000 tears later, I was on a therapist's couch. I told her everything that had happened, starting with the promotion that I got at work.
Should have done
She
that
did
a
not
long
agree
time
with
ago.
me or with any of the encouragement to divorce that I got.
Yep.
I ended up
The one very important thing that people need to understand when it comes to marriages and even relationships, when you know you have that form of a bond with an individual, Like, ladies, don't let yourself get inside of your own fucking head and tell you that you're right about something when you know you're wrong, but yet you fight that because you feel that you could be greater, you could do more, you could be better. See, people tend to forget that there always has to be a middle or a lower level. To say that you can be better on your own is about the most ignorant thing you could ever say, because two heads are always better than one. Four hands are better than two. That's just the way it is. And not just that, but prior, you weren't doing as great as you were with the individual because you had double income coming in. No matter how much it was, you had double income coming in. But yet, you allowed your own mental instabilities, mental fears, anguish, anxieties, things like that to get into the way. And it's even worse when the guy is making, and I'm in my situation, I made three times, sometimes four times what she would make in a month. It wasn't good enough because of the fact that her own fears and different things like that, and I understood it, got in the way of things. So it almost doesn't matter what you do. If that individual can't deal with their own issues and demons, it's not going to work out. And the fact is, what I was getting at is that this is always the route that should be taken. When you have any form of traumas like that, you might need to seek help. She waited too long and was told, you got bad advice. Women need to understand something here. Your girlfriends are not going to give you good advice because they're not that man. Just not. You're better off talking to him as an adult without all the bullshit and trying to come to a resolution. Or even better yet, taking the time to go and see someone, even if you have to go and see that someone together. Sometimes it requires that you do the therapy on your own because sometimes there's some form of resentment that's actually held when the two individuals go to therapy together. So maybe you start out on your own and then you go together. But you need to have those questions, answered, or your feelings put in check by someone who is a professional at that. Let's finish this off.
In her office 2 and sometimes 3 times a week. And the more that I talked to prove that I was right, the more that I started to see how wrong I was.
Wow.
It was truly heartbreaking.
But most people don't
I
want to know
don't
that
know if
about
I cried
themselves.
as much in my whole life as I did in the first months in her office. After about $2,000 of therapy sessions, I learned that my ex-husband had his faults, but I figured out that mine were so much worse. I did so many awful things and said awful things that
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be with me. But he did. I still remember him asking me in the meeting with the lawyer to please not go through with it. I
because he
did go
saw
through
and
with it
felt
though.
something better.
And then later I bragged on here how great it felt. I was so wrong, and now I can see it. A couple weeks ago, I went outside with him.
Oh shit! Wait, I'm sorry, y'all. So she came online and bragged about it, and now had at least. Oh my god! I want to say at least she was grown enough to be able to come back and say she was wrong. Damn.
When he was leaving the house, I asked him about getting back together. When he looked at me, his eyes were full of tears, and a couple went down his cheeks. He told me that he didn't know if he could. He
Oh,
said that the pain has been too much for too long, and that if we got back together, that I might just turn around and do it to him again.
100%.
He said
A
that
hundred
he
percent.
always thought that I would realize how much he loved me and stop up until I signed the divorce papers and
And
let
she
out a
didn't.
big, over exaggerated sigh of relief. He said that hurt him more than anything else, and that he doesn't know if he can ever trust me again. I don't blame him. I destroyed a man who, looking back, was a great husband. I
And you don't
deprived
even
my
know how
kids of
much.
having a great father in the house with them, and I took his kids away from him. And me, the one who pushed for the divorce, expecting happiness and a life of freedom, spend all my free time sitting at home or sitting on a therapist's couch. If your marriage is bad, look at yourself first and see if you can make changes. This is advice for men and women.
Yep.
Getting divorced is not fun. Being divorced is not fun. And seeing your husband broken and your children never happy because of your actions is the most painful experience that I can imagine.
Yo. Oh,
I
wait.
wish all of you well and
Okay. Yeah. Hold up. So this is this is crazy. So he she asked him and he said he didn't know. That is not a no. And you know why it's not a no? It's because he was truly in love with her. He has children with her. They had a life together. He saw how brilliant and bright she made his life and knows that he changed hers and made her the better for it. But no matter how much she did him dirty, he still can't say no. And to cry like that, to actually allow those tears to come down, no matter how strong you try to stand in front of that individual, is hold on. That is the ultimate, ultimate proof of how much pain he went through. There's a there's a Japanese story. It's wow, and my Japanese wants to fail me right now. But it's on the Kitsune no Kyubi. In fact, there's numerous different types of folklore that go along with it, but this specific one was on a very specific kitsune who took the form of a fox witch, a woman. She's a witch. Now, if you don't know, and I'm skipping over stuff, but a kitsune essentially is the fox. Most of you can think of the kyubi kind of like Naruto, the nine-tailed beast. Not all kitsune have nine tails. It ranges depending on their age and different things like that. But in this story, this kitsune took the form of a beautiful woman. She's a witch, and she met a king. That king fell in love with her. And the more deeply he fell in love with her, the sicker and sicker he got. To the extent that it was said he looked like a beast and all these other things. And then eventually he, you know, went that route. And well, she took her other form and ran off again. And it's kind of a adage to the type of failures and defeats that men will face when it comes to being in love. Because when it's taken away from them or when it's, you know, uh, misplaced, it can absolutely ruin a man. And the thing about it is, I can speak on this in the effect that after losing that type of love, it makes you feel like, look, you don't ever want to do that again. No matter how much of a ladies' man or the just the type of individual that women want to be with, no matter how much of that you were prior, After that, you don't ever want to do it again, because you look at it and it's almost a thing of, well, I just wasted this time, and time is something you can't get back. I wasted a great deal of finances and resources, and the finances and resources aren't even that big of a thing, more so than you actually put emotional investment, which for a great deal of men is something that we say that we're never doing that. But when you do, and it comes back and it hits you in that manner, when you are truly in love with someone, it will absolutely affect you in ways that you will never probably share with anyone. Men have taken their own lives over it, been ruined over it, can't sleep, can't think, don't want to eat. Horrible things happen. And it causes more of a mental health situation because you're now questioning everything that you do. You're now questioning who you are as an individual. And it can be fatal a great deal of times. I can honestly say that when that accident happened and I was gone, I was gone twice. That during that point in time, whether it was the dream as I'm coming back and coming out of, the mini coma that I went into during that point, or during that point of time of being gone, I can't say. But I do know what I remember seeing at that point. And it was the one person I had been in love with and her daughter. And it took time, even after that, to say, you know what? I have to, do what's best for me, because I was working and doing everything constantly, but it was always there. You never, ever, you never get rid of that love, especially as a man. Like, you never get rid of that love that you held for someone. You never do. But you have to be able to push through it and keep on trying to live your life better, not giving up on things, not forgetting who it is that you are. But hey, this was an interesting video. It's gone longer than what I wanted it to go, but I'm sorry I had to stop all those different times. But that was a story that it's something else. Remember, whether you're in a marriage or just a relationship, the biggest thing that you can do is communicate with each other. Don't let small shit build into big shit. Don't let things that you should talk about or need to talk about be bypassed. It's very important. It's very important for both of your mental and physical health, your happiness in that relationship, and the happiness of the children that are part of that relationship, whether they're yours or not. But hey, I'm the show Bullet 8. I hope you all enjoyed. Please go ahead and like the video, leave your comments, your thoughts. Have you seen, heard of, or gone through anything like this? Or, do you agree with the things that I may have said? Or do you think that, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Plain and simple. That's what I want to know. Hey, I'm the Showbullet 8. Thanks a lot for watching. But hey, for now, I'm out.